Good morning. Welcome to ELA class. Let's start. Let's get started right away with today's objective. Remember, you're taking notes just as I am. You are not talking to your neighbor, and we're going to go ahead and get started. I will be able to define words or phrases in context by using root words, prefixes, and suffixes. Go ahead and fill that in now. And you may be wondering what those are, and we're going to go ahead and define them now, and then we're going to look at some examples. So, root word is a part of a word that has a central meaning and is found in many different words. And so when I say central, that means that the root word itself is really important to the overall word. Root word is just a part of the word. However, these maybe 3, 4, 5 letters really define the word. And we'll look at some examples of those in a second. The next one we're going to look at is suffix, S-U-F-F-I-X, a letter or group of letters that is added to the end of a word to change its meaning or to form a different word. So for instance, and you can write this over here, an example of a suffix would be L-E-S-S. For example, the word care, when you add the suffix L-E-S-S, turns to careless. The next one we're looking at is prefixes, a letter or group of words that is added to the beginning. And the interesting thing about prefixes is that within the word itself, you have one of the most popular prefixes already, pre. Right here, I'd like you to write a word that you can think of that starts with pre. Pause the video and do that. One word that I'm thinking of that might start with pre is preview. You have it right there. But you might have come up with another one. So the reason these are important is because when you find words that you don't know, you can use the suffixes, the prefixes, and the root words that you do know to help you figure out a general idea of what they mean. So we're going to look at these 4 steps now right here to figure out how we use our skills and our knowledge of prefixes, suffixes, and root words to redefine words we don't know. So the first step is to identify the unknown word. Once we've done that, that's a pretty simple step. You see a word, you don't know it, you can underline it, circle it. We're going to break down the word for prefixes, suffixes, or root words. After that, let's say we found a prefix that we know, or a prefix that we've seen in other words, and we can figure out what it means using those other words. We're going to then define that small part. This is step 3. We're going to define that small part and check it in the sentence. So once we've done that, we should be able to figure out a little bit of the meaning. It might not be perfect, but we have a much better sense of what's going on with that word. And if you don't recognize a word, you can always use context clues to figure out just the main idea of the sentence. So as I do this example below, I'd like you to take notes and think about some of the things that I'm doing related back to steps 1 through 3. And then I'm also going to explain how I could use step 4 to help figure this one out. So I'm down here. When the man's bifocals broke, he had trouble seeing in front of him. And so the word that I'm looking at is bifocals. I don't know what that means. However, I see 2 things in there. I see the word, or the prefix bi, and I know that that means 2. If you have a bicycle, you have 2 wheels, whereas if you have a tricycle, you have 3 wheels. So I know that bi means 2. I also know that FOC, folk, has to do with like being focused, right? We have the word focused, and that's really the only word I can think of right now that has to do with that. But so I'm thinking of, I have 2 and I have focus. And that doesn't quite do it for me, so I'm also going to look at step 4 and 10, how you get trouble seeing. So I'm having 2 and focus. And 2 things I use to focus when you're seeing are your eyes. But we don't really think eyes break. But what do break and have 2 and have to do with focusing are glasses. So my guess is that bifocals are another way to say glasses. Because I know that you have 2 lenses in your glasses, and glasses help you focus. The word doesn't say focus, but it says FOC, which sounds a little bit like focus. So bi is a prefix, focus is a root word, and root words fall in the middle there. All right, what we're going to do now is we have 6 small parts here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to define them as either a prefix, a root, or a suffix, give you a little bit of what they mean, and then you're going to come up with some examples. So right now I'd like you to circle examples over here because, circle examples because that's going to be your job today. You're going to come up with the examples. So first we have re. Re is a prefix because it goes at the beginning, and it means again. Pre is a prefix because it comes at the beginning, and it means before. Less is a suffix because it comes at the end, and it means without. And I gave an example of that earlier, if you can check back on your notes. Full is also a suffix because it comes at the end, and that means with. Full and less are antonyms as suffixes. Fawn, phone, you can think of is a root word. It can come sort of in the middle, in the beginning, or the end, and it has to do with hearing or talking. Finally, micro. Micro is a prefix because it comes at the beginning, but it's also a root word. A little bit longer, has to do with being small. So take about 1 minute to try and come up with examples on your own, 2 for each prefix, suffix, or root, and then I will have some examples on the board for you. So click pause and do this work on. Alright, so I'm just going to run down quickly. We're up here with redo. We have the word do, which means to perform something, and again. So redo means to do again. Preview means to look at before. If you preview a test, you've looked at it before. Careless is care without care, and so you're not very careful. Careful is with care, so if you are careful, you do something with care. Telephone, we know what that means. We see that we added the E to the phon, which is that root word talking about hearing or talking. And the last one is microbacteria. And bacteria you might have learned about in science, little cells that live in your body and around the world. And micro means small, and so they're extra small, right? You also have microphone, you have microwave. Those are some of the ones you might have gotten down. Alright, if you haven't already, flip to the second page of your packet. I'd like you to try this page on your own, making sure that you're going through and putting in the most likely means up here we're at. So you'll put in what the prefix means, and then down here you'll come up with a couple of examples. Go ahead and pause your video and work through 1 through 5. When you click play, some answers will be on the board. If your examples are not the same as mine, that's okay, as long as yours work as well. However, your definition should be almost exactly like mine. Alright, quick rundown. I'm going to start with number 1 and work my way down pretty quickly, just checking your answers. If you don't have the same ones as mine, that's alright. They were pretty hard, so if you just got 1, make sure to fill in one of the other ones I added. So im means not. So immature means not mature. or I'm just going to highlight actually. Immune, that has to do with being sick. If you're immune from getting sick, it means you are not going to get sick. So I'm immune from that disease. That disease cannot affect me. Now we're down to non, which also means not. We have non-profit. We learned about that in J. Biztown. It's a company that does not make money, does not make a profit. And non-binding, move that around a little bit. Non-binding has to do with things that do not hold other things together. So binding means that like a binder holds things together. Something non-binding doesn't hold things together. Down here it's disabled. Disabled. Disabled is unable to work. Like it's not. Disgusted. Disgusted. You don't really use in this language, but so if you say disgusted, not miss, mistake, misstep, misworn, if something's misworn, then they are wrong. Just ignore that that's on the screen right now. We're almost done with this. And then the last one is illicit, illogical. So I'm going to focus on illogical because ill means not again. So if something is illogical and logical means it's smart, it makes sense. Something that is illogical doesn't make sense. All right, we're done with that first part. Go ahead and work through these next four. You have mystical, terrible, kindness, and audible. It tells you the root word or suffix, the meaning, and then it asks you to come up with 3 on your own. So again, work through these. Once you're done with all 4, click play and there will be some answers on the board. All right, go ahead and check your answers against these. Again, if you don't have all of the same ones, that's okay. If you are missing a couple, make sure you fill them in so that every line is filled. And once you're done with that, go ahead and complete the next 3 pages in your worksheet. The review you should be able to do it using the notes from today. So make sure that you're looking back and really using your notes. Go ahead and close your computer now and start working on the review and then the next 2 sheets.